Writing for me it's a very lonely part of the process, and I don't usually write with other people, and I usually do veer between crushing self-doubt and an overwhelming sense of triumph when I think, oh, I really hit it here with this scene. The biggest triumph is actually just finishing the damn thing, and that's when you really want to celebrate, when you finish the first draft. The hardest part for me is actually the first, obviously, probably for most writers, is the first page, the first, just getting into it. But yeah, I'm always varying in between those worlds, but probably more on the crushing self-doubt side of things. One of the tricks I've learned though is to keep writing no matter what, and just to force yourself to write and write and write. And there might be times where I've no idea what I'm going to write, but I'll just like invent a couple of characters, maybe 2 or 3 characters, and I'll just make them talk for, I don't know, so it could be 10 pages of just dialogue, and most of it might be pretty crappy, but somewhere in there'll be some sort of nuggets, some little things that will be the seeds of a bigger idea.
What we did in the shadows. So you co-wrote that with Jermaine Clement.
Yeah.
What are the differences in co-writing? How does it work? How do you write with him? What's the process?
It's just slower. Wilder People took 10 years. This one took, we came up with the idea in 2005 and we shot it in 2012.
A lot happened in 2005.
Yeah. Oh, it was a good year. Yeah. So Jermaine and I came up with the idea in 2005, and I think we write together well, but it's excruciatingly slow. So we spent maybe 6 or 7 years writing that, and I don't even know why, because we didn't even show it to the cast. We didn't show the script to anyone other than the HODs, and because we improvised basically the whole film. We knew, like, going into a scene what we wanted to do, and so we'd get the cast in, and then we'd say, okay, so in this scene, so like one example, like Stu came in one day and we said, oh, Stu, just lie down here in the grass, and we just started pouring blood all over him, and he was like, is my character dead? And so we didn't tell anyone really what was happening to their characters, just because we wanted it to really feel like a documentary. So people would say, here's the goal from the beginning of the scene to the end of the scene, you have to get this achieved. You have to, here's your mission, is to convince this person to do this, or, murder this person or something. And so, which was good. So every take was very different. And at the end of the filming, we had about 150 hours of footage that we had to get down to about 90 minutes. So it took 14 months to edit. So we were going through everything, and every take was completely different. And so we built the interior of the house, and we pre-lit everything so that we could go into any room we wanted, and we had 3 cameras running all the time. Sometimes we'd say, okay, we'll just stick with this character, and halfway through the scene, and most of the scenes were like 10-minute takes, 15-minute takes, and so halfway through a scene, maybe a character would go, fuck this, I'm out of here, and walk, and then the camera would follow them into their bedroom and just sit with them for a bit as they were sitting there fuming about something, and then they'd come back, so everything was very different, and there was a very different style different style of writing as well, where Jermaine and I were in New York for about 6 months, and we would meet up every day at about 2 p.m. at this cafe and have some avocado and toast, and then write like 2 sentences over 3 hours, and then look at, and we'd just sit there in silence. This is how we write: sit there in silence, and then Jermaine would go, what if Stu turns into a werewolf? Okay. I found the confidence in my comedic voice through testing out my stuff in front of audiences and doing a lot of stand-up and sketches and things, and then developing that over the years and finding my voice, but also finding my audience and finding what people responded to that I was doing, and making sure that it was stuff that I enjoyed doing. I didn't want to find my comedic voice and be doing nothing against Benny Hill, but imagine if that was my thing. People loved that, but I wasn't in love with it, and I was forced to do that style, which it's my style is so, I think, very specific to me, and a lot of my style is actually not even comedy. It's just sort of kind of weird light art, light drama in a way. So so if you look at a lot of my films, there's not a lot that. A lot of the time it's not full of jokes. There's like big. You might have 10, 15 minutes of the film where nothing funny happens, and it's just really sad. Usually the ends of my films are really sad. So that's I found my voice was a mixture of those two, trying to find a balance between that comedy and that drama.
Hey, how does your work as a scriptwriter affect you when you're working on something like Thor or The Mandalorian, where you're coming in as a director for hire, but obviously you write and you write well. So how does that affect?
It was challenging for me on Thor. It was challenging because, again, like I wanted to control all of those elements, and having a script come in that was not really in my style. It was a good script, but it wasn't my style. So I found that hard. But I always get to do passes on script, so that was built into my contract on Thor. Was I could do like a story pass and dialogue pass and stuff, and change a lot of things. And so, for instance, like Korg was that character. I basically they said, oh, they've got this rock character, now we'll maybe put him in for one scene. I was like, yeah, sounds good. Maybe I could play that character. Like, yeah, sure. And then I did my pass on the script. They're like,
Okay.
this character is in this movie quite a lot. And, so, yeah. But then something like Mandalorian, which I'm really just directing on that. And that's actually quite nice for me, just because if it's a good script, then I feel like I can concentrate more on the directing instead of freaking out every day and like changing, like writing on set and going, oh, okay, say this, and I just can concentrate on what it looks like.
Do you think we're doing something then like Thor and, having that kind of $180 million, and then obviously you're probably getting offered and doing things there of maybe not of that scale, but similar, could your voice get lost?
Oh, it can definitely get lost, but that's also I knew going into Thor that my strength was not action movies or superhero movies. My strength was tone and character and dialogue and moments, and so I just concentrated on that stuff, on my strengths, knowing that this was the 17th movie in a run that had 17 consecutive box office hits. So I thought, okay, you guys probably know what you're doing in that department. I'll just try and inject this tone into the thing.
So, man, congratulations on JoJo. It
Thank you.
broke my heart in so many pieces. It's gone now. It's disappeared. Easy sell when you were trying to find...
What's that?
Was it an easy sell when you were trying to find finance for it?
Yeah, it's not the easiest of sells. It's a very hard film to pitch, obviously. You try and pitch it to me.
Well, okay, so it's about this kind of misguided young 10-year-old kid growing up in rural Nazi Germany. I'm going to take this somewhere else.
No, it was. I think that the script really spoke for itself. I realised that it was a hard thing to pitch. Those ideas of talking about, especially the war and on the side of the Germans. So I realised I should just write the best screenplay I could, and then use that as the pitching tool, really.
Yeah, and I think the fact that I think that the tricky ground is always the Holocaust and the expulsion of Jews and so forth. And I think that's where, if you don't mind me saying, I think that's where you tread such a fine line, but a brilliant line.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and it was always like, I think when your intentions are always in the right place, it's not a film that was ever designed to shock or to get cheap laughs. The laughs never come for free. Yeah, there's always a point to them, and there's a real point to the film. And I think that we made the film at the right time as well. When I wrote it in 2011, it wouldn't have had, if I'd made it then, it wouldn't have had the relevance or resonance as it does right now, because
globally
the world has changed.
Yeah.
And the BAFTA is presented to JoJo Rabbit.
Hello, thanks very much, BAFTA. This is very, very cool for me. Coming from the colonies, we know it's been a hard week for you guys, and it's been very nice to take a little bit of your gold back home, where it belongs. It's a really incredible night for me, especially to share it with the people who made the film with me. In particular, Chelsea Winstanley, who supported me right from the very beginning when I started writing this, and Carthy O'Neill, who brought the whole film to fruition. And 28, 27, 26, 25. If you put things in front of me, I'll just read them. And that's really it. I mean, the other people I have to thank is Christine Lernens, who wrote the book that I adapted. It's a fabulous book. And also to my mother, who introduced me to the book and made me read and taught me how to read and insisted that I read. And I love you for making me read, Mum. Anyway, and I share this with everyone else, the cast and crew, and Searchlight for believing in the project. Thanks.